Dear Chosen One, the Spirit of God is speaking urgently right now, and I cannot hold this back. What you went through was not an accident, not a coincidence, not even a slow recovery from a dark season. No, your resurrection was a decree thundered from the throne of heaven, a command that time itself had to obey. When the order was spoken, chains that held you for years were shattered. Contracts written against your destiny were erased, and every spiritual gate that was locked swung wide open. This was not mercy in small measure. It was a takeover, a sudden reversal that no demon, no principality, and no earthly power could resist. You are not simply breathing again, you were repositioned for a mission. And right now, the Spirit is making it clear, your assignment has begun, and your post is waiting. You have already felt the tremors of this shift in your spirit. The atmosphere around you has been changing. Conversations fall silent when you enter, doors open suddenly without reason, and others close just as quickly, as if the unseen realm itself is rearranging your steps. Dreams that feel prophetic, restlessness that will not let you settle, even a holy discomfort in places where you once felt at home. All these are signs that the command of heaven is in full effect. Chosen One, this is not paranoia or overthinking. This is prophecy unfolding in real time. And if you do not recognize the season you are in, you risk being caught in battles that are no longer meant for you. The enemy wants you confused, but the Spirit says, you are no longer wandering. You are marching under orders. In this message, I will reveal the truth that the enemy does not want you to know, that your resurrection was not a temporary rise, but a permanent activation of your authority. I will show you why your presence now shakes atmospheres, why you were hidden until the appointed time, and why God has placed you in a position that others cannot explain. If your spirit is stirring, declare it in the comments right now. I take my post. Press like as an act of agreement with heaven and subscribe so you never miss another word of divine instruction. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation will unlock the timing of your acceleration and show you how to step fully into your divine position. This is not motivation, Chosen One. This is a prophetic summons. Chosen One, hear me clearly. Your resurrection was not whispered in silence. It was declared with authority in the courts of heaven. When God gave the command, it echoed into every layer of the spiritual realm. Angels heard it, demons trembled at it, and destinies shifted in alignment with it. This was not about giving you another chance at life. This was about summoning you into a role that was always yours, but had been withheld until the appointed time. And because it was a command, it cannot be revoked. No matter who doubts you, no matter what resistance you face, the decree has already been sealed, and you are walking in an assignment that carries the weight of eternity. The moment the order was released, the enemy felt the vibration of that command. Plans that had been carefully plotted against you collapsed overnight. Strongholds that were supposed to keep you buried lost their power in an instant. That is why your life has felt like a storm of sudden changes. Because in the unseen, there was panic and chaos, as the forces of darkness realized they could not hold you down. The Spirit is showing me that your acceleration is a direct response to the collapse of the enemy's systems around your name. That shaking you have felt was not destruction, but displacement, the enemy being forced out of territory that belongs to you. Look back at the strange signs that have followed you recently, the dreams that seemed too vivid to ignore, the heaviness you felt before a sudden breakthrough, the moments of divine acceleration where what should have taken years happened in weeks. These are not random. They are confirmations that the command was real and that the natural world is now bending to the will of God over your life. Chosen one, your spirit already knows what your mind is still catching up to. This is not a phase of recovery. It is the fulfillment of a prophetic timeline. Have you noticed how people's eyes linger on you differently now? Some stare with confusion, others with fear, and some cannot look at you at all. This is not because of anything superficial. It is because something has been marked in your spirit that they cannot ignore. The authority of your resurrection is visible even to those who cannot explain it. They feel it in their chest, in the atmosphere when you walk into a room. What they are sensing is not you. It is the order of heaven resting upon you like a seal that cannot be removed. The discomfort others feel around you is not rejection, it is revelation. Their spirit senses that you no longer belong to the level you once occupied. Your rise has unsettled them because your very existence now confronts their complacency. You carry an authority that exposes falsehood, and so the Spirit of God is using you as a mirror. The tension you see in people's eyes is the reflection of their own unrest. Chosen one, do not mistake this discomfort as isolation. It is evidence that you have shifted dimensions. Even the environments around you respond differently. Spaces that once embraced you now seem to resist you, and places that felt comfortable now feel too small. This is not because you no longer fit. It is because you have outgrown them. The Spirit says your presence carries a frequency that alters the atmosphere, and anything that does not align with your assignment will become unstable in your company. That shaking in your environment is not rejection, it is realignment. Heaven is pulling you into spaces that match the magnitude of your resurrection. Just as Joseph was summoned from the prison to the palace, and just as Lazarus was called out of the tomb by name, your resurrection was a specific order written for you. It was not general, it was personal. The Spirit is reminding me to tell you that your name was spoken in heaven, and that is why you had to rise. It was not optional, it was necessary. This is why your journey mirrors biblical patterns, because the same God who spoke then is still speaking now, and He has declared that your destiny cannot remain buried any longer. Chosen one, understand this. The enemy did not retreat quietly when your resurrection was commanded. No, he regrouped, he recalculated, and he released a wave of confusion meant to make you doubt what God already settled. That sudden heaviness that sometimes creeps over your heart, that whisper that says, maybe it was just luck, maybe it won't last, those are not your thoughts. They are fiery darts sent to make you question the permanence of your command. But the Spirit says, your resurrection is irreversible, and no whisper of darkness can undo what has been decreed in the light. This is why some of the people closest to you have shifted unexpectedly. They once supported you, but now their tone feels different, sharp, skeptical, distant. Do not be deceived, chosen one. The enemy often uses familiar faces to test your discernment. He knows you will not fall for obvious traps, so he plants subtle resistance in voices you once trusted. Their sudden change in behavior is not about you. It is about the spiritual authority that now rests upon you. They are uncomfortable because your rise reveals their lack of alignment. Pay attention to the symptoms of this resistance. Moments when your energy feels drained after speaking to certain people, strange delays that appear right after sharing your vision, and even the sudden urge to isolate yourself because you feel misunderstood. These are not coincidences. They are signs that the battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the unseen forces trying to pull you back into the grave you already left. Chosen one, you must be wise enough to see the pattern and strong enough to resist the pull. Never forget, You were not resurrected into a garden. You were resurrected into a battlefield. When Jesus called Lazarus out of the tomb, he came forth still wrapped in grave clothes, standing in front of a crowd that doubted what had just happened. And just like him, your resurrection was public. It rattled the people around you, and it exposed the disbelief in their hearts. You are not called to comfort zones. You are called to confront spiritual territories. That is why everything feels tense, because your life itself has become a declaration of war against the plans of darkness. Be cautious, chosen one. The enemy will try to disguise traps as opportunities. Some doors will look attractive, some offers will seem promising, but behind them lies the same old bondage in a new disguise. Just because it looks golden does not mean it is God. The Spirit says, test every spirit, weigh every opportunity against the decree I placed upon your life. If it does not align with your command, walk away. What looks like loss will actually be preservation, and what looks like delay will be divine protection. Even the subtle things, gossip whispered behind your back, sudden friction in your workplace, or strange opposition on social media, are not random attacks. They are distractions carefully designed to consume your energy and make you forget your post. Chosen one, do not waste your breath fighting shadows. The Spirit is calling you to rise above petty battles and focus on the war that truly matters. Do not engage with every voice. Some of them are traps meant to drain your focus. Chosen one, listen carefully. Your resurrection was not for survival. It was for command. The Spirit says your rise was an official summons into your post, and this is why the pressure has been so intense. The unseen realm knows you are no longer wandering. You are marching under direct orders from heaven. Every atmosphere you enter feels it. Every demonic force senses it. And every principality fears it. This is why your presence alone shifts rooms, why conversations fall silent when you arrive, and why doors you didn't even touch begin to move. It is because you are walking under a decree that cannot be undone, and that decree terrifies the kingdom of darkness. Understand this truth. The position you are stepping into was guarded long before you were born. Generations before you carried fragments of this assignment, but it was reserved for you to fulfill. This is why your battles have been harder than others, why the warfare around your name has always been relentless. The Spirit says, you were chosen to carry what others could not. Your resurrection was timed, precise, and intentional. Because your post is not a privilege, it is a responsibility written in eternity. You carry the weight of generations, and heaven has trusted you with it. This is why the enemy cannot stand your activation. He invested years, even decades, in trying to bury you in shame, addiction, cycles of pain, and voices of doubt. He believed he had you cornered. But when the command of God thundered over your life, all of hell's investments collapsed in one moment. Do you realize the level of panic this caused in the unseen? Chosen one, your very existence now testifies that the strategies of darkness failed. That is why you feel constant resistance. It is not random. It is retaliation. But the Spirit says, retaliation is only proof that your rise is unstoppable. With your resurrection came the unlocking of hidden gifts. The Spirit has been stirring abilities and insights in you that you did not even know you carried. Suddenly, wisdom flows where confusion once lived. Discernment sharpens where blindness once ruled. Even your words carry new weight, cutting through atmospheres with authority. These are not coincidences. They are signs that your assignment has activated tools that were buried until this exact moment. Chosen one, the gifts were always in you, but resurrection brought them online. Now the question is, will you use them boldly, or will you hide them in fear? You must understand that these gifts are not for your comfort, but for the liberation of others. Your post is not about self-glory. It is about breaking chains for people who do not even know your name. When you pray, atmospheres shift. When you walk into a room, heavy spirits tremble. When you open your mouth in truth, deception is exposed. The Spirit says, I raised you not just for your survival, so that you would become a key for others. Your life is not small anymore. It is a weapon in my hands. This is why you cannot go back to silence. Your post demands your voice. Do not forget. Chosen one, your resurrection shattered every old contract written against you. What was meant to bind you to failure, addiction, and despair was permanently nullified. Heaven's decree overrode every earthly and demonic agreement tied to your past. That is why the enemy is desperate to convince you that nothing has really changed. He whispers that this is just another cycle, another temporary rise. But the Spirit says, it is done. The grave has no claim on you. The chains cannot be reforged. Your resurrection was a permanent shift, not a fragile phase. But still, I must warn you, the enemy's greatest weapon now is deception. He cannot reverse the decree, but he will try to distract you, confuse you, and lure you back into old patterns. He will send familiar faces with familiar temptations, hoping you will forget that your post requires vigilance. Chosen one, you must stay alert. Every distraction is designed to delay your obedience, but remember, the order is active and delay is dangerous. Chosen one, your resurrection has drawn the attention of both heaven and hell. Every step you take now is being watched. Every word you speak is being weighed, and every decision you make is shifting something in the unseen realm. The Spirit says, you are not invisible anymore. The covering of obscurity that once hid you has been removed, and now the mantle of visibility rests on your shoulders. That is why you feel the pressure of eyes on you, why you sense both favor and resistance colliding in your path. You have entered a season where nothing about your life is casual. Everything is prophetic. Everything is warfare. Everything is eternal. This is why your assignment carries greater weight. You are no longer living for yourself. You are living as a representative of a kingdom. Chosen one, when you rise, others around you are lifted. When you speak, captives hear a sound that calls them out of their own prisons. When you walk into places, atmospheres either align or flee. The Spirit says, do not take this lightly. The order that resurrected you did not simply restore your breath, it installed you into leadership. Heaven sees you as a commander, one trusted with influence beyond what you can currently measure. Every word you release now functions as a seed in the Spirit. Some seeds will grow quickly, others slowly, but all of them will carry impact. That is why you cannot waste your breath on gossip, bitterness, or arguments that pull you into distraction. Your words are no longer casual. They are coded with authority. The Spirit says, speak carefully, for I have placed fire in your mouth. Your decrees will shift more than you realize. When you bless, heaven multiplies it. When you rebuke, darkness trembles. When you declare, atmospheres rearrange themselves to obey. Chosen one, the truth is this: you are being raised as a spiritual leader, even if you did not ask for it. You might feel unqualified, you might doubt your worthiness, but the Spirit chose you anyway. Remember Moses, who stuttered, yet was commanded to speak. Remember Gideon, who hid in fear, yet was called mighty warrior. Remember Esther, who doubted her place, yet saved a nation. Like them, you did not choose this post. It chose you. And heaven does not make mistakes. Every weakness you carry will only magnify God's strength through you. What you may not fully see yet is that multitudes are tied to your obedience. People you have never met, souls you do not know by name, are waiting for your rise. When you step fully into your post, chains will break that you never touched. Prayers will be answered that you never prayed, and regions will shift because you carried the authority to do so. This is why the warfare has been fierce, because the enemy knows the cost of your silence. He knows what will happen if you fully believe in your command. But chosen one, heaven is counting on you to obey. And now I ask you directly, do you truly grasp the weight of what you are carrying? Can you feel how heavy this mantle is? Not as a burden, but as a sacred trust? This is why life feels intense, why the pace feels accelerated, why you cannot go back to old cycles. The Spirit says, I raised you to break patterns, to stop generational curses, to release a new lineage of freedom. This is bigger than you, and yet it requires your full agreement. Your resurrection was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of your commission. Chosen one, though the war has been fierce, you must remember that God has already surrounded you with supernatural peace. Even in the middle of storms, there is a shield around your spirit that cannot be penetrated. That is why, even when you should have lost your mind, you held on. Even when you should have collapsed under the weight of betrayal, you rose stronger. This peace is not human. It is the promise of Christ, who said, My peace I give to you, not as the world gives. It is evidence that you are exactly where heaven positioned you, because no storm can break a vessel that God Himself has sealed. Chosen one, the Spirit is declaring promises over you right now. Promises of victory, protection, and divine favor. You have entered a covenant that cannot be broken. The decree of your resurrection sealed you into the safest place you could ever be, the will of God. And when you are in His will, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. You may see the weapons, you may feel the heat of the battle, but none of them will prevail. This is your inheritance as one who was called, chosen, and commanded to rise. Every arrow fired at you will return empty. Every trap set for you will backfire on the one who planned it. The enemy may roar loudly, but his authority was stripped when you obeyed the command to rise. He cannot undo what God has sealed. He cannot reverse what heaven decreed. This is why you must walk in confidence, not arrogance, but holy boldness. Chosen one, you do not fight for victory. You fight from victory. The command was your guarantee, and your resurrection was your proof. Every time doubt tries to whisper, remember this: the tomb is behind you, and it cannot open again. Your destiny has been written in fire, and the enemy has no access to erase it. Chosen one, reflect on this truth. Your resurrection was not the end. It was the beginning of a new era. The Spirit says your life is no longer defined by cycles of rise and fall, but by a steady climb into authority and purpose. Each day you live now is a step deeper into your assignment. Each choice you make either strengthens your post or distracts you from it. But even in the weight of this responsibility, know that you are not alone. Angels are assigned to you. Destiny helpers are on their way, and the very hand of God is guiding your path. Now is the time to embrace your true identity without fear. You are no longer the version of yourself that people once knew. You are no longer bound by the failures, the shame, or the labels they placed upon you. Your name has been written differently in the Spirit, and heaven calls you by that name. Walk boldly, chosen one, for when you embrace your true identity, the false perceptions of others lose their power. You were raised not to fit in, but to stand out as a living testimony of God's authority. Hear me clearly. This is not a phase, it is your post, and heaven is watching. All of creation is waiting for you to stand fully in who you are. The command has already been issued, and now it is your turn to respond with action. This is your moment to rise, to occupy, to command, and to live as the warrior heaven called you to be. And as you step forward, know this: you are covered, you are chosen, and you are unstoppable. The decree stands. Your resurrection was commanded, and your post is waiting. Let this final word settle deeply in your spirit. Your resurrection was never about survival. It was always about dominion. You were not called out of the tomb to simply breathe again. You were called out to rule, to govern, and to stand as a warrior of light in a darkened world. This is why the weight of responsibility feels heavy, but it is also why you carry a peace that cannot be explained. The decree of heaven is your proof that no one else can take your place. You are irreplaceable in this assignment, and your obedience is shaking entire regions awake. Remember this: you are not stepping into your post alone. Heaven marches with you. Chosen one, every battle you fought was preparation for this moment. Every tear, every betrayal, every delay was shaping you into a vessel that could carry this weight without collapsing. And now that you stand, the Spirit is saying, do not shrink back. This is not the season to question your worth, nor to revisit your past wounds. Those battles forged in you an authority that no shortcut could have created. You now walk as one who carries scars that speak louder than words, scars that testify of victory, not defeat. Wear them boldly, because they are proof that death itself could not hold you down. Your resurrection is the announcement that the kingdom of darkness failed. The enemy tried to silence you, but instead, your voice has become louder. He tried to bury your influence, but God multiplied it. He tried to destroy your spirit, but heaven turned you into a weapon. This is why you must never apologize for the light you carry. You were not meant to blend in. You were meant to disrupt. Your presence is uncomfortable to those bound by darkness because you are living proof that chains can be broken. You are the evidence that God's word never returns void. And now, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who supports us through Buy Me a Coffee. Your support helps us improve our videos every day and always offer the best content. If you'd like to support us, the link is in the first pinned comment. Chosen one, walk boldly into your post, for the eyes of heaven are on you, and the armies of angels are going before you. Your resurrection was commanded, your seat is secured, and your name has been established in eternity. Go forth with fire in your spirit and authority in your voice. You are chosen, you are risen, and you are unstoppable. The decree has spoken. Now take your post.